Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum, a very good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to our lecture. Today we will continue with the topic of natural language processing, NLP. Again, practical wise, we will do in the practical session. I just checked and I just realized next week again a public holiday. Correct? On Monday. Correct or not? I don't know what happened to our class. Very unlucky. But again, no worries. Next week, my plan, because this is already week 11, I've already checked the weekly plan. We still have with the navigation, also performance evaluation and reinforcement. The performance evaluation, I think we did all the time during our practical session. Now it's just to teach you on how they are actually calculating the accuracy, precision and recall. Of course, there will be a formula. Okay, so that's what we're going to cover next week. So my plan for next week, perhaps during the lecture, because next week will be week 12, of course replacement lecture, or maybe during the practical session, I will cover the navigation. Navigation, I've already uploaded, I think, a new slide. Okay, which will be more theoretical. Okay, because for the navigation network, I don't want to cover more on the statistical inference. Okay, I want to focus more on the machine learning itself. Okay, so that's why the practical, we will do the navigation practical exercise. But in the lecture part, I've already uploaded the updated slide for the navigation. So please go through the slide later on. I think if let's say I'm not updating it, please let me know in the WhatsApp group later on. But then for navigation network, like I said, we're just going to cover simple calculations on the navigation. There is a calculation, okay, but then focus more on the theories or the principles of the navigation, the difference between navigation and also Bayesian belief network, okay, BNN. Okay, so that kind of things we will cover later on when we get into our lecture on the navigation. For the performance evaluation, the calculation part. Okay, it's very, very important for you to memorize the calculation part. It is a very, very famous and popular question every year for final exam. Okay, how to calculate accuracy, precision, recall, these three things. We already did it in the practical. I said practical wise, we already covered. So I think the definitions of accuracy, ROC, AUC, I think you guys know a little bit about this, all types of performance evaluation, but how they calculate the accuracy, precision and recall, we're going to learn next week. So I'm going to combine either the performance evaluation next week with the navigation or together with the reinforcement learning algorithm. For the reinforcement learning algorithm, the practical part I'm not going to cover in details because of it's using the R programming. Okay, but maybe I will just go through with you all a little bit briefly on how you can actually use R programming with R Studio. But on the lecture for reinforcement learning algorithm, my plan is actually to invite a speaker from Telkom University Indonesia. Okay, they agreed to give a talk. I just need to get speaker's name. If let's say they don't able to come for the guest lecture online, so we'll see in the week 13 if let's say we don't have lecture. So maybe perhaps since next week we will not have public holiday, I may bring the reinforcement learning algorithm next week online. Okay, but whatever it is, please check your WhatsApp, please check your announcement in the My Times, so then we hope to finish all the topics by week 13. Week 14 will be your presentation for the group assignment. For the group presentation, I think what I plan to do, because of we have 5 companies, and to get the data set also is not a good experience. So to get their time and sit down with all of us for the presentation also will be a problem. My plan, a backup plan, maybe you have to prepare a video presentation and submit to me. Okay, so that will be easier lah. So they can watch the video, I can also watch the video, so we don't have to find the time for them to be together with us for the presentation. Is it clear? But whatever it is, please bear in, check your WhatsApp message, please check your announcement. So what's the next instruction for your group assignment, I will update in the WhatsApp and as well in the My Times. So far so good with the group assignment. Okay, everybody already got the data set, right? Okay, so you can start. I mean, at the end of the day, the data set is the crucial one. I told you already from the first week. Now to use whatever algorithm is all up to you. Okay, but make sure you justify whether the algorithm is suitable or not for the data set. Performance evaluation also is all up to you. It's all depending on what type of algorithm that you going to use for the group assignment. Okay, so presentation wise, I will update later on in the WhatsApp group or in the announcement. Practical test supposedly this week, week 11, correct? Okay, so the plan for the practical test, do you want to do it this week or next week? It's going to be online, huh? Online, 24 hours online. So I will upload the question and then you have 24 hours to settle the practical test. Okay, again, be very careful. I already experienced teaching this module for many semesters. So I know whether you are cheating or not, whether you copy your friend's answer or not. Okay, so if I found anyone who copied your friend's answer exactly, then straight away both of you 0. Clear? Clear? So you want next week or this week? Next week, This week too many things. So next week, I will also inform in the WhatsApp group. The practical test we'll do it next week. I will upload the question online. So you just have to download it from My Times. You have 24 hours to solve your practical test for next week. Clear? That's about practical test. Midterm test, last week I did not able to come to the class because I was actually involved with a competition in UM. So it dragged time until afternoon, from morning 8 o'clock until 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So that's why I got Miss Nur Hidayah to come to the class. Everything okay with the midterm test? I will go through. Easy, right? Very, very easy, right? You said no. I'll go through the answer after this. I'll try my very best to finish marking before your week 14. Whatever it is, I promise you guys, inshallah, before your final exam, you will get all total mark for your coursework. Okay? Because I have another modules with more than 400 number of students also require me to do marking. So I'll try my very best to mark your exam, your midterm test as well, together with your practical test, and prepare your total final coursework before your final exam. Final exam, I think you already got the date for the final exam. When is it? I also forgot. I've already put in my calendar. So please, if possible, make sure you're able to attempt the final exam instead of the receipt exam. Okay? This is my way of teaching. I usually give easy question in the final exam compared to your receipt exam. Unless you still have to take the receipt exam, come to me, then we discuss what you should do. Okay? Is it okay? Again, I don't want anyone to fail this module if possible. Okay? But of course, there are some rules that we have to follow. So make sure you just submit on time. Make sure you do everything as what have been instructed. I think you should be fine. Is it okay? Any question about midterm test, group assignment, practical test? Clear? Christina, okay? Your company's okay? Okay. Now, just now I received a question from Ryan's group. I know, I told you already, data set for your group assignment, from week 1, I already told you, that will be the tedious work to be done. Acquire the data set, step number 1 in data pre-processing. You took more than 8 weeks, 7 weeks to get the data set. Some of them received the data set before the midterm break. Some of you, even week 10, last week, just received the data set. So, even or you already received the data set and some of you complain the data set is very, very insufficient. The numbers of rows is very little. The numbers of parameters also very little. So I told you already, even in the question I did mention also during the explanation, briefing to you all, you can do the data augmentation. Okay, you can actually add in external data set, a public data set, but make sure don't remove the original data set, the raw data set completely, because you definitely will give wrong insight, wrong prediction to the companies, which is very unfair. Clear? So whether you want to do data integrations, you want to remove certain things from the data set, it's all up to you. No problem at all. That's what we mean. That's what we learn in the data pre-processing. Okay, all of these are actually under data pre-processing. Okay, you can do that, no issue. Is it okay? Is it okay? Okay, now, can I move on? Any question before I move on to the new topic, NLP? Clear? Okay, so the new topic that we're going to cover today is actually this natural language processing. To those who just came, the attendance good. Okay, natural language processing. When we talk about natural language processing, the word itself, language processing. I'm speaking with you. In what language? In what language? English. Do you understand English? What if I'm speaking in Arabic? I don't know how to speak in Arabic very well. Can you understand that? If KE talking in Mandarin, right? I also will not understand. Okay, but computers, when they're doing this natural language processing, these capabilities of natural language processing, they can understand whatever language you are using with certain rules. Okay, there are certain rules, there are certain commands, there are certain functions in the natural language processing which allow the computer or the machine to understand the way how we talk. Okay, if I'm speaking with a normal, formal English language, you are fine, correct? What if let's say, I'm talking in English with Malay, Manglish, Rojak. Anyone know what is Rojak's language? John, do you know what Rojak's language is? You know Rojak, right? You don't know Rojak also. You never eat Rojak before. Okay, Rojak is a mixture of too many things on a plate. So similar in language also, I can add in, Malaysia have 3 races. We can rojak the language, we can mix the language with Chinese, with Tamil, with also Malay and English together in one sentence, in one paragraph. That is rojak language. But because of the advancement of our machine learning algorithm, computers can actually understand this all natural language processing issue or problem. Okay, so of course, through the rules, through the basic functions, command and etc. So those of things that we think is very impossible now become possible to the machines. Okay, so that's what we're going to learn today on the topics of natural language processing. Clear the definitions? Okay, for the final exam later on, again, of course there are some not calculations lah. The most important thing in this topic of the natural language processing is for you to understand the theoreticals, the procedures, okay, behind this natural language processing, similar to the all other algorithm that we have learned earlier. SVM, support vector machines, KNN, there are certain methods, there are certain steps. KNN, how many steps you have to do KNN? 4. Luckily you guys still remember. Okay, SVM have 3 important things. What's the first one? Hyperplane, very good. Second, support vector, and last one is margin. So again, these are all the theoretical part. Regression, we keep repeating regression, y is equal to mx plus c. All these keywords you have to memorize, okay, because that will be asked in the final exam later on. So similar here in the natural language processing, there are certain things that you have to not memorize to understand. Okay, concept of lemmatization, concept of stemming, concept of word tokenization. Those are actually a basic rules like I mentioned earlier in the natural language processing. Similar next week when we learn about the naive-Bayesian theorem. Okay, naive-Bayesian also have their own formula. Anyone here learn statistics before? Conditional probability? Anyone heard conditional probability before? Okay, never mind. Someone learn about the conditional probability. So the naive-Bayesian theorem is applying this conditional probability. So we're going to cover that next week. So for your final exam purposes, remember, understand the important concept of each of these algorithm. Okay, especially what elements, what steps involved, and then formula-wise, calculation-wise, because in the exam, I think for your final exam, I've already submitted your final exam paper to exam unit. I've checked already. There's only one question with programming. In final exam also, you got one question with programming. Okay, I will tell you later on before your final exam. Okay, what type of programming that you have to do in your final exam. And of course, there are a lot. There is no MCQ. If I'm not mistaken, there is no MCQ for your final exam. All short answers. Okay, from 4 questions, 1 question is coding, programming, a simple coding, which you did every week during the practical. Okay, and then of course there are some calculation question, and I believe, like I said, the calculation question always cover the most popular calculation question is actually your performance evaluation, how to calculate the accuracy, precision and recall. We did it already in a practical from week 2, week 3. Okay, but we never go through very details how to calculate the accuracy and etc. etc. So formula wise, of course you have to memorize it. I'm not going to give you the formula during the exam. You have to memorize the formula and apply the formula on how to calculate the accuracy, precision and recall. That will be your final exam. Okay, without you realize this is already week 11, we still have 3 more weeks before your final exam. Okay, before you going to finish this module. Okay, so hopefully I can help you with my very best to ensure that you can pass the module. Okay, so get back to this natural language processing. I think the definitions of natural language processing I've already talked to you, I've already explained to you just now. When we talk about natural language processing, it's not just about the text itself. Okay, for example, like when I ask you to read this slide, what did you understand from this slide? You as a human, what do you understand about this slide? This slide. What's the main important keyword from the slide? Huh? Oh, smart text. Context. Where is the context? Okay, context. What else? Very deep understanding context. What else? What did you see from this slide? If let's say you as a human, I mean, of course we learn how to read, how to spell, how to understand the word and the semantic, syntax, everything from kindergarten. You yourself as a human, what did you see from this slide? First thing first, before we go deeper, like what Ryan said, context straight away, very deep. But what did you see from first glance of this slide? What did you see? What did you see? Irene? Letters? Give me what type of letters? What did happen to the letters? Huh? There are words, a few words, and some words have been highlighted in red. So you as a human, what do you think? If from all of these words you saw in the slide, there are 1, 2, 3, 4 words only highlighted in red, what come into your mind? Important. Similar to computers, similar to machines. Okay, they cannot. I mean, of course, if let's say they have to go through word by word by word by word, okay, it will take the time processing. Okay, but then we as a human, you don't read. When I give you this slide, you don't read. If let's say you only have 1 second to understand the slide, you don't have to read word by word from the top until bottom, right? You find out what is actually the important gist, the important points from the slide, and straight away give your explanation. Okay, like Ryan stated, from this whole thing in the slide is all about context, text. Okay, context. Okay, but myself, when I saw this slide, I know that there are something to do with analyzing the text. Okay, and all of these texts have their own degrees, complexity. Okay, so of course, like here, you have how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lines, the important lines in the middle of this slide. Okay, from these 5 lines, there are certain lines in this paragraph which is actually highlighted the important degrees of this text. Okay, so this tag, if you go in deeper, like what Ryan did, okay, it will actually explain the definitions of natural language processing. Like you, what you're doing just now, what you did just now. You go through the slide, you identify which one is important, and then you elaborate and try to explain. Machine doing the similar thing. That's why you learn in programming syntax and semantic, correct? Right? So the semantic is the things that machine try to understand behind all of these words you saw in this slide. Okay, so of course there are some techniques, there are some methods on how the computers can capture the important things, okay, the important points from this slide through all the method that I mentioned just now lah, lemmatization, stemming, word tokenization. Okay, so those kind of things are the technique in the natural language processing. Clear? Is it okay? Okay, so in the natural language processing, it's always about the interaction between the computers and the human. Like when you are typing on your laptop, okay, you are doing words or PowerPoints, typing something on your words. Okay, at the same time, computers also need to understand by pressing the keyboard what is it means, by clicking on the mouse what is it means. Okay, by displaying your words you type on the word. Okay, what is actually happening. So those kind of things is actually an interaction between the computers and also the humans. Okay, through like what we are doing normally, human to human talking. Okay, we know that when you do your conversation between humans, okay, we know how to translate. So similar to computers. Computers also have these capabilities to translate what you are talking to it. Okay, of course, through some languages, through some algorithm, rules, and etc. So this is what is happening under this natural language processing. Okay, so computer will read it, try to decipher, meaning that they try to extract the definitions from the context or the text given to you, understand, and try to make the sense of the human languages. Okay, so for example, just now I asked John, does he understand rojak? He did not understand rojak. He never know what is rojak. How long you have been in Malaysia? Sorry, John. 4 months. 4 months. Maybe he needs 4 years to actually understand what is rojak in Malaysia is. Okay, so similar to computers. Okay, did you know that even ChatGPT, some people, I just got to know, the different, nowadays they already have this AGI, no more ChatGPT. Okay, OpenAI, the company who developed ChatGPT now already developed AGI, Artificial Generic Intelligence. No more ChatGPT. I just got to know ChatGPT is not a smart AI. Do you know why? Because they are also natural language processing. Anyone knows why ChatGPT? I'm telling you guys that ChatGPT is not smart. Anyone? Anyone knows? Anyone? You already use ChatGPT, right? I think every one of you know how to use ChatGPT, especially to do your assignment. How does ChatGPT help you to give answer to you? How do you think the ChatGPT help you by giving answer whenever you ask question to the ChatGPT? They will give you an answer. How do you think that answer is conveyed or delivered to you? Yes, from the historical data. Okay, from what you entered inside certain website, okay, from what you what you use from your computers. All these experiences are studied by the ChatGPT. So that's why I say ChatGPT is not smart, because it's all depending on you. If you don't give them, they don't know how to answer. Okay, that's why ChatGPT also, like I said, is also an application of natural language processing, but they are all depending on you. The new versions of generative AI, the AGI, the one I mentioned, is even smarter, and they are actually try to come out with some policies and procedures to protect you as a human. I think in the first week, did I mention about the movie I, Robot with Will Smith? That is actually the things that they are worried now with this AGI. Okay, if there is no rules, if there is no of course guidelines, proper guidelines on how to use this AGI, machine can actually take over us. Seriously, guys, I attended this workshop. To my shocking, I was really shocked when that person said that ChatGPT is not smart, because they're smart because you smart. Okay, you the one who give all the data to the ChatGPT. So similar to the natural language processing, they learn from you. Okay, they learn from you, the way how you speak, the way how you say something, the way how you move your gesture and everything. They are actually read, decipher, understand, and make sense of a human, not the machine. The AGI is the machine itself. Okay, so that one later on, whoever interested to learn about generative AI, maybe perhaps later you can propose to the school. Okay, we can actually teach you about the generative AI. But that is a part of the machine learning itself. So that is natural language processing. The definitions I've already explained to you just now. Okay, this is actually a simple structure of the natural language processing. Okay, from the Facebook, Twitter, your PowerPoint slide, or even from your Google email, everything there are actually going through with the natural language processing engine. Okay, and this natural language processing engine are actually checking your knowledge base and also your data storage. This is what I said just now, the ChatGPT is happening like this, exactly like this. Okay, but the AGI, you don't have this part, the knowledge base and also data storage. Everything comes from the machine itself. Okay, so the machine is even smarter than you. That's what we worried. Okay, so that is actually natural language processing. Okay, so this is another example on how natural language processing is actually responding to a question. Okay, chatbot. You know chatbot, right? That's also an example of natural language processing. Anyone here never use a chatbot? Give me an example of chatbot. Application with chatbot. Tell us. They got chatbot. Asia. Anyone use Asia chatbot? There are two different types of chatbot. I learned they are rule-based, and also I forgot another one. The one that Telus are using, the one that Asia are using are actually rule-based generative AI. Meaning that you give the answer already. So if let's say you try to ask a question from Telus website, what time will be my flight to depart to KK, for example, what will be the response in the Telus website if you are using the chatbot? They don't know. They don't understand. Similar to the chatbot in Asia. What thing I need to eat today? They will respond no answer. Right? They will not get the answer for that particular question because they are rule-based. So similar to here in the natural language processing. Okay, they make the machine learn from you. That's why I said the ChatGPT is not smart. I was shocked. Even when I heard that thing, I was also shocked. I thought ChatGPT is already helpful enough. Okay, but then they are not. Okay, they are smart because we are smart. Okay, so that is natural language processing. What are the definitions? However, there are some problems, issues with the natural language processing. We as a human also, when we talk, if let's say I'm talking to John, hari ni saya nak makan nasi goreng. Do you understand what I'm talking about? Not at all. Okay, you don't understand what I'm talking about? Yes, because she learned Malay language. Okay, so similar to machine. Okay, similar to your computers. These are all the barriers, the issues you are facing in the natural language processing. Okay, I don't know, sometimes in Malaysia there are so many not bahasa rojak, all these millennials, Gen X and Gen Y, TTYL. What is TTYL? Talk to you later. IDK. See, you understand. When I first time saw this all short form, we were because I'm not, I mean, of course I'm older than you all. We don't understand. Can you imagine machine? Okay, so that's why we have to train the machine. When you are using your ChatGPT, have you ever used ChatGPT with mix of languages, even with short forms? Have you tried? They can understand, right? They can understand. Seriously, they are smart because we're smart. As I said, we taught the ChatGPT how to speak, how to respond. Okay, so that is the kind of problems or barriers that we face with the natural language processing. It's never easy to understand, even we as a human. Okay, maybe for myself, I learned English and I powered in English maybe at the age of 12 years old, for example. Okay, but I never know to speak very well in Arabic, for example. I always wanted to learn Mandarin but never able to do it. Okay, so machine learning have to learn all of this, okay, together with the rules and everything, and that what makes the NLP quite difficult and not an easy things to do. So the generative AI, when you create or develop a chatbot also, if you are using the rule base, it's fine because the answer is in the textbook. The answer is in the dictionary. You just pass the textbook and dictionary to the chatbot with the rule base. Okay, so everything is actually answered based on the dictionary. But if the answer is not in the dictionary, so that's why you got some response, I don't know, I don't understand, maybe you can ask another question. So those kind of things is actually a problem that always faced by the natural language processing. Okay, so all of these are actually example of the the natural language processing problem. This is more details. For example, if let's say I ask you what's the definition of dark horse? Is a black horse? Is it a black horse? Horse in a black color? What does dark horse mean? Now, John, this is English. You definitely know what the definition. What does the dark horse mean? Maybe I ask the simplest one lah. Loose face. What does it mean? What does it mean? If you learn English, losing face, what does it mean? Huh? Embarrassing, humiliating, those kind of things are actually means by the loose face. That is an idiom. If you direct translate loose face, what does it mean? No face. Human without face. Okay, so that is a problem with the natural language processing. Machine, computers need to understand all of this. The idioms, the segmentation issues, for example, here, the New York, New Haven Railroad. These are two different, they are similar words, numbers of words in a sentence, but there are two different definitions. Okay, non-standard English, just like what I mentioned just now lah. IDK, TTYL, what else? IMU, ILU. Computers may not understand, right? Because of you teach the computers, the machine, that ILU stands for I love you, TTYL stands for talk to you later. So those kind of things is actually learned by the natural language processing in a computers. Okay, neologisms. This is actually a new word. Do you know that what Twitter, from the word tweet, what is tweet means in English? The bird. But when it comes to the developed application called Twitter, the definition is different. People even use the word twittering as a verb. Correct or not? Correct or not? And that's why Elon Musk changed it to X now. I don't know what's the reason. Okay, but the thing is that this actually happened, some issues in the natural language processing. Okay, so these are all some problems in the natural language processing: idiom, segmentation, non-standard language, neologism. See, even myself also having that difficulties. Can you imagine what happened to the machines? Okay, tricky entity names. Okay, so those kind of things are actually a problem happen in the natural language processing. Okay, so how is actually you make and help the computers understand all of this issue that we discussed earlier related to the natural language processing? Of course, there are certain techniques. Okay, so again, like I said, we are not going to go through in details. What we need to do is to understand what is natural language processing for your final exam, and then just go through with some sample of practical exercises later on during your practical tomorrow. Okay, so these are just some history. This is definitely not going to cover in the exam. Some applications or implementations: email filter, smart assistant. Email filter are actually using the text recognition. Okay, just like what we did just now. Okay, if let's say I put a sentence, ITTYL after my class, for example. See, I also need to take some time to really understand the sentence. ITTYL after my class. You yourself, you know, I talk to you later after my class. But computers, when they are doing this email filter if let's say they found that sentence in the email, okay, they have to identify. Do you know that in your email, especially Gmail, there are 3 folders? Okay, you have this primary folder, social folder, and also promotion folder. Okay, the NLP is actually help your Gmail or any email actually decide which email belong to primary, which email belong to social, which email belong to promotions. If I have that sentence, ITTYL after the class, you as a human, which one do you think is the appropriate folder to send that email in? Is it in the primary, social, or promotions? It can be either primary, it can be either social, correct or not? Okay, but it's all depending on the context, like what Ryan mentioned at the beginning. Context of your text. That is an example of NLP in the email filter. Smart assistant. Anyone here have Alexa at home? Anyone have a smart assistant application using every day? Anyone? No? Are you sure you don't have any smart assistant? Have you ever used Siri in your phone? That's smart assistant. How do you get assistant from Siri? Apple is Siri, Android is Iris, correct? Anyone using Android? Yeah, what is your smart assistant in Android? Oh, Bixby. Okay, not Iris Oh, Samsung. Huawei also have their own smart assistants. I don't know, I can't remember. But there are all actually types of smart assistants. You are using Bixby, right? Have you ever experienced using Bixby before? Why? Why? They can't what? So you blame the computers lah. I was also, I like to use smart assistant in my car, Apple CarPlay. I can understand, I can relate your issue. Very annoying. Why? They cannot understand my accent. our slang, especially Malaysian slang. They cannot understand. You really have to speak like an American. Okay, so only then they can understand. But it's a good thing. That is actually natural language processing. They cannot understand our accent, our language. That is the barrier, the issue that I mentioned earlier. Okay, but these are all the types of applications. Okay, you have every day that you are using with the natural language processing. Search result also. Have you experienced when you try to search something inside your Google or any browser, they already have your historical data. So before you complete the question that you wanted to ask, they already propose and recommend to you certain things. Okay, Netflix recommendation, they are all actually using natural language processing with some decision support system as well. Okay, so these are all using the natural language processing. Okay, digital phone call and etc. These are all example of the application using this natural language processing. Okay, chatbot, of course. Okay, so those are latest type of example, generative AI, latest type of example of this natural language processing application. Now, we move on to the technicality part where this is actually explained to you how the computers or the machine understand the way how you speak using all of this technique. Okay, we learned already there are many issues, there are many barriers, there are many problems with natural language processing. Okay, to understand your language, to understand the slang, to understand what segmentation, to understand the idioms. So those kind of things are a problem in the computers, from the computers to understand, or the machine to understand your natural language. Okay, so these are all the techniques that we're going to go through. So number one is regular expression, regex. Okay, so what is regex? Regex, we actually use all of these brackets, slashes, all of these symbols to match any one of the letters with the definition. So for example here, you have this sentence, Rasa X opened source. Okay, Rasa X open source. Basically, that's the sentence given to you. Okay, but for the machine to understand this Rasa not open, we understand that maybe X can refer to not. X can refer to the names of the restaurants, for example. Okay, so they have so many definitions, there are so many meanings. So computers or the machine have to apply this regular expression to understand what is Rasa X open source means. Okay, so there are several output that can be proposed by the natural language processing to your machine. It can be Rasa X, it can be Rasa with small x, it can be Rasa open source, it can be Rasa with small r open source, and etc. etc. Many. Okay, so these are already showing to you some complexity. So regex is one way on how to help computers using natural language processing by doing this thing. Okay, the regex is a set of characters or a pattern where they extract all the hashtag from the tweet, getting the email ID or the phone numbers from a large unstructured text context. Okay, they have this thing called as a feature extraction. Okay, this is also applying in this regex command. Okay, command by extracting the text, the string replacement, and any other string manipulations from your sentence. Okay, so that is actually regex definition. In a short, okay, when you are applying regex in your natural language processing, you can actually extract or substitute or do any kind of application that you wanted to do, as long as they will bring a definitions to the sentence itself. Okay, so that is a regex. Okay, so again, we are not going to go in details on how they are converting from one sentence, manipulate, replace, extract, the kind of things, and then that thing will not be covered in our syllabus. You just have to understand the definitions, yeah? So the regex, again, is a method where you manipulate the set of your characters or the pattern, extract the features, okay, the text, okay, and then try to understand from the sentences and the context itself. So that is actually regex definition. Okay, there are a few functions related to regex. This one also, as I said, this is not going to cover. Like I said, we're not going to go in details. We just have to understand the concept and the principles behind it. Okay, so that is regex. Of course, there are some benefits and some limitations on the regex functions, okay, or commands in the natural language processing. It can be flexible. It doesn't require you any training data, but sometimes it's still having a difficulties to understand. Okay, they have some subtle syntax. Okay, and sometimes with the regex, it's very hard for you to debug. Okay, but these are some common examples of methods on how you can do the natural language processing. The second example or technique to use natural language processing is tokenization. From the word tokenization, token. Okay, you can actually make from one sentence, saya nak makan today. mix of language, right? Saya nak makan today. How many words you have? How many words you have? 4. Saya nak makan today. Okay, so you know that these are mixture of languages. So computer can actually apply this tokenization. You have the saya, you have the nak, you have the makan, you have today. Correct or not? Okay, and all of these 4 words from this one sentence will be tokenized based on the white space tokenization technique ke, dictionary ke, rule based ke, spacey ke, Moses ke, Subone, etc. etc. Okay, but the words tokenization is mean you breaking out your sentence into separate words and try to understand each of the words and give the context behind of each of the words. Saya in English is what? Saya in English is what? I. Nak is what? Makan is what? Makan is what? Eat. Today is today lah. Okay, so in computers we try to translate these languages from saya nak makan today into I want to eat today. Okay, and they will give you the context saying that you want to eat today. Today is today, so you have to eat today. Okay, so that is actually what happened in the word tokenization. From one complete sentence, they will tokenize it into words. Okay, if you are using the word tokenizations, it will be actually breaking out into several separate words and try to understand each of the single words and then try to understand what is the context from each of the words. Okay, so this are actually under the word tokenization. They give you an example there. The cat sat on the mat. Okay, so if you are applying the tokenization method, it will break the raw text into the words and the sentences called as a tokens. Okay, so the cat sat on the mat. You have 2, 4, 6 words. Okay, and each of the word will carry their own meanings, and then later on computers will try to understand each of the meanings from each word and bring the context to each of the words. Okay, so that is tokenization. Natural language processing also. The word natural language processing. These are 3 different words, correct? Okay, if you go one by one, each of the word, definitely it will bring you a different definitions. Okay, but if you combine, natural language processing is actually one word. Okay, such NLP is actually one word, meaning that the algorithm you are using for the computers to understand human. Okay, so that is actually how the computers work with the tokenization. So far, okay? Any question? Clear? So that is tokenization. You know that on Thursday we will have tutorial, you will have quizzes, right? So if you have any question, please ask. So that is actually tokenization. Example also given in the diagrams here. Okay, this is another example. Using the coding, you can see that. Okay, you just have to import the functions of the tokenize. So every sentence, every words in the sentence will be bracket out. Okay, it will actually be splitted into single word, and then the computer will understand each of the single word and try to understand the whole context. That's the way how tokenization happen in the natural language processing. Second technique. Okay, so of course these are all the explanations. Please go through the techniques here. You got the white space tokenization, dictionary based tokenization. That means if let's say your answer or your words is not in the language in the database, just like what I mentioned just now, the chatbot. Okay, the Asia chatbot. If you ask about makan, of course they have makan in the flight. If you ask about what, nothing to do with flight. Twitter. If let's say you ask Asia chatbot, when will be my examination date? Can they answer? Of course no, because there is no answer in the dictionary of the chatbot in Asia. Okay, so that is what actually means by the dictionary base here. Examination. Okay, examination, perhaps they will give you another answer, but actually that's not what you wanted to hear. Okay, so that is actually dictionary based tokenizations. Okay, rule based tokenizations, you have punctuation depending whether you are following punctuation. Okay, they will split or remove the punctuation from your sentences and then try to understand each word in the sentence. Okay, or you are using white spaces like I mentioned just now, saya nak makan today. So each of the words is actually following with the white spaces. So the computer will try to understand each of the words, okay, after one white space after each other. Okay, so that is actually using the rule-based tokenization. So you have rule-based, dictionary, white space. Okay, so those are actually under the word tokenization. You also have this regular expression tokenization. Okay, so these are another examples under the word tokenizations. Okay, subword tokenizer. Okay, few, fewer, fewest. Okay, fast, faster, fastest. So So those kind of things are actually under the word tokenization itself. If let's say you have the word news and news. Hey, wait, no, sorry, this one. There. News and new. News and new. If you are applying the subword tokenizer just now, you break or remove the S from the new, the one at the bottom here. Is it going to bring a similar definition with new? News and new, is it two similar words meaning? No. Okay, news is berita, stories. New meaning that it is new lah. Okay, so two different words with two different definitions. Okay, so NLP using the word tokenizer just now with the what just now you have this subword tokenizer, it will actually apply the commands, the functions of the subword tokenizer, understand the context, okay, of your word in the sentence. Okay, if let's say I have a news today, okay, so that news is actually referring to a story. Okay, so that is actually what's meant by the subword tokenizer here. Okay, it's not actually means new thing. Okay, so that is a story. Okay, so that is how this natural language processing happen with the tokenizer, rejects, and then I think another one you have this stop words removal. Okay, in the sentences, if let's say you have all the basic words like for, is, was. Okay, those kind of words will be actually removed from the sentence, and then the machine learning will try to understand it. Okay, so similar when I did the exercise earlier at the beginning. Okay, when I asked you to check the first slide. Okay, so you as a human also, you don't read the whole words. Right, you just have to, you usually capture the important things that you think is representing the text. Okay, the sentences. So similar to machine. Okay, so similar to your computers, when they have received the text, okay, they will actually try to find out the important things from the text. Okay, for example, here, I like reading, so I read. So the I will be removed, the so will be removed, the comma will be removed, the I again will be removed. So you have the like, a reading, and read. Okay, so computers or the machine try to understand what is it means by the like, reading, and read. Okay, and then that is what happened. Okay, so using the stop words removal here. So you got regex, you got the tokenizer, you got the stop words removal. This is the third technique in the natural language processing. Okay, and then the fourth one is stemming. Okay, what I mean by the stemming? Stemming is a process when you slice the end or the beginning of the words with the intention of removing the affixes. Okay, astrobiology. Okay, the word astrobiology is you have a prefix astro. Okay, so it will be removed if you are using the stemming technique for your natural language processing. It will be removed from astrobiology, so you only have biology. I'm not sure whether astrobiology and biology is two different things or not. What do you think? Is it similar or is it two different things? Similar? Not similar. Not similar. See, this is a problem with the NLP as well. If you remove the astro from the word astrobiology and you left with biology itself, so it's going to bring you another definition. Okay, so that is actually stemming. One of the issue in the NLP using stemming. Helpful. If you remove the full with the help only, is it going to bring a similar definition? Not also. But again, computers or machine try to read the context. Okay, try to understand the context. What's the word of help there inside the context of your sentences? Okay, playing with play. You know, you play. Playing meaning that you are playing now. Okay, news and new. This is what I mean just now. Okay, when you're using stemming, if this is happening to your natural language processing, they don't understand. They don't have the words of news and new inside the dictionary. It will be a problem to your machines. Okay, so stemming. Last step under this natural language processing is actually lemmatization. What's meant by the lemmatization? When you reduce a word to its base form and grouping together different forms of the same word. When, okay, is a basic when is actually a past tense to go. Best is actually come from the good. What else you have? Any other example? Playing, play. News, is it new? No. Okay, so those are actually example of words that you reduce to its base form. Okay, fastest, you got fast, right? Scorer, you got score. For example, so this is an example on how they do in the lemmatization with the natural language processing in your machines. Okay, so you have 5 techniques. Okay, 5 techniques from the rejects, tokenization. Okay, you have subword removal just now, stemming, and also lemmatization. So for the purpose of your final exam, just remember the theories, the definition of each of these techniques, and what is natural language processing is. Okay, because in the exam, of course, example on how they do in the lemmatization with the natural language processing in your machines. Okay, so you have 5 techniques. Okay, 5 techniques from the rejects, tokenization. Okay, you have subword removal just now, stemming, and also lemmatization. So for the purpose of your final exam, just remember the theories, the definition of each of these techniques, and what is natural language processing is. Okay, because in the exam, of course, you will not be given a question with all full, complete practical questions, but the theories will be tested in the final exam. So you must understand what natural language processing means. Okay, with all the 5 techniques and maybe some example, just like your midterm test. Okay, I asked you example of classification and regression, correct or not? Still remember the midterm test question? Okay, so I didn't yet check your question paper, your answer script. I will do that later on. Okay, perhaps this weekend. But that is how I ask question in your final exam, theories. Okay, so you understand, because this is machine learning, this is not statistical inference. Okay, so you got the practical test already. We did it already with the programming with the algorithm during practical session. So that one's covered in the practical. Okay, for practical. For the theories part, I have to cover in midterm test and as well in the final exam. Any question? Clear? Okay. Last but not least, before we end our class, I have 3 more minutes. I just want to go through the answer for your midterm test. Okay, because I have to discuss. This one easy, right? You know how to get the M, the X, and the C. Once you know what is your M, your X, and your C, you got the predicted value is equal to 100 straight. This is that's why I like to ask simple calculation question, or even in the final exam. So if let's say in your answer I don't see 100 as the predicted exam score, straight away 0. Meaning that you don't understand what is M, what is X, what is C. Okay, so later on in final exam also can and also have the Euclidean distance formula, correct? So please understand how to calculate the Euclidean distance formula. Next Bayesian also later on next week we learn the conditional probability. You should know what is A given by B. Okay, what is probability of A, what is probability of B, and etc. with the formula. So those kind of things we will learn later on, sir. So I think this 4 marks question in your midterm test is the easiest one, because if you got this one correctly, your M, your X, and your C, you definitely know how to calculate the predicted exam score using the regression equation. That's question A. Question B is actually to give you an example each of the regression and also classifications. Anything, anything. I think most of you will give an example of the temperature. I know most of you will give the example. I accept. Okay, as long as you give me 2 examples each of the classification and problem, explain what's the problem, explain what's the solution each of these example, then you are fine. You get all the 4 marks. Okay, so this is question number 1B. Question B, I think this one later on I will check lah. You got 7 questions only. Okay, because of your midterm test, total mark is 15. That's all for your midterm test. I'll try my very best to finish marking. Hopefully, I try do it by this weekend. If not, please wait until week 14. Any question? Okay, Sure? Okay.